Vos Majestés, le roi et la reine, Vos Excellences, Messieurs, dames les ministres, Messieurs, dames, chers invités, soyez tous les bienvenus ici à Aarhus. Your Majesties, the King and the Queen, Your Excellencies, Ministers, ladies and gentlemen, dear guests, welcome to Aarhus. And welcome to this official opening ceremony for the Danish Presidency of the Council of the European Union. My name is Stephanie Suruk. I am a news correspondent from Denmark. I'm half French, half Danish, so fully European and fully grateful to guide you through this evening. Tonight, we mark a significant moment. Denmark assumes the presidency of the Council of the European Union for the 8th time of our history. It's an honor, and it's an honor that comes at a particularly critical time. Europe today is facing some of the most complex and serious challenges in recent history, from geopolitical uncertainties to a growing pressure on our shared values and global partnerships.
And it's in times like these that unity, cooperation, and open dialogue are more essential than ever. And it's in that spirit that we gather here tonight. And what better place to begin this new chapter than right here in the city of smiles? Yes, that is what we Danes call the city of Aarhus, the city of smiles, and for a good reason. Tonight we are having the honor of being inside of this beautiful Aarhus City Hall, designed by the world-renowned Danish architect Arne Jacobsen. It's a true architectural gem, right here in the heart of a city that is known for, yes, its smiles, but also its energy, its optimism, and its European spirit. In fact, just outside this building, a European street festival is taking place. So if you happen to hear some loud cheers during this evening, don't worry, it's a party and it's ours. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's my great honor to invite the Prime Minister of Denmark to the stage. Please welcome Ms. Mette Frederiksen.
Your Majesties, Your Excellencies, and ladies and gentlemen, welcome. I am honored to see all of you here in wonderful Aarhus. If you look around, you see the work of, as just been said, one of our most famous architects, Arne Jacobsen. This beautiful city hall was built during the Second World War, in the darkest hour of modern European history. Back then, there was a lack of materials. Iron bands in the right size for the construction of the roof were not available. So what did the craftsmen do? Did they wait for the war to end? No. They collected small pieces of iron from all over Denmark. And they put all these pieces together to form the strong iron bands holding the roof together. Even in the most difficult times, we can build something great and beautiful. But only if we join forces and put together all the small pieces. Right now, Europe is facing the greatest challenges since the 1940s. Russia's brutal war against Ukraine, democratic elections targeted by foreign powers, pressure on Europe's external borders for migration, global economic uncertainty. Today, it is clear peace and stability on our continent cannot be taken for granted. The world order that we built together is trembling, and our security and our way of living is under pressure. The past 6 months have shown that Greenland and Denmark can rely on European family and friends when the storm hits us. The unity of Europe is real, and Europe can be strong when need is. Ladies and gentlemen, you represent decision makers, companies, unions, youth associations, and the press. To address the challenges Europe faces, all at the same time, we need every one of you, not only to defend the interest of your stakeholders, but to take on responsibility and to join efforts to build a stronger Europe. Dear Ursula and dear Antonio, all construction projects need architects with visions. And we are lucky to have you in the forefront, drawing up the way forward. And during our presidency, Denmark is ready to support both of you. First of all, we need to pave the way for a much stronger European defence. Russia has converted into a war economy, and I see no signs that Putin's imperial dreams stop with Ukraine. If we as Europeans, if we are not willing to defend ourselves, then what is Europe? It was a grave mistake to cash in the peace dividend. A big mistake. For too long we spent too little, and we must never repeat that again. We have to rearm ourselves. We have to scale up our defence industry. We have to break down barriers and obstacles in our way. And as presidency, we will push for common ground on how to get there. Europe must be able to defend ourselves no later than 2030. And here we need to look to our Ukrainian friends. Dear Volodymyr, right now, European security rests far too much on the shoulders of your brave countrymen and women. You are fighting for your own country, and you are fighting for the rest of Europe. We cannot and we will not lay you down. We must continue our steadfast support for Ukraine and increase the pressure on Russia with more sanctions. We need to look at our support to Ukraine in a different way. We have to change our mindset. Our donations are not charity. They are part of our defense of our common continent, of Europe, of our life and our freedom. And we need to learn from Ukraine, your determination, your sense of urgency, and your ability to innovate. In only a couple of years, Ukraine has built an incredible defence industry. Now we must show that we can do the same in the rest of Europe, and we don't have a single second to waste. Secondly, building a strong Europe is also about migration. Right now, cynical smugglers have the power to decide who can enter Europe and who cannot. We need, of course, to be in control with our own borders. Who can enter and stay in our countries, that needs to be a democratic decision. Many come here to work and to contribute, but some do not. And around Europe, we now see the consequences: crime, radicalization, and terror. We have built some of the most and best societies ever, but we cannot accept anyone who wants to come here. Those that commit serious crimes, they should be expelled. We need to address these challenges. We need to address them head on, take firm action on migration and criminal foreign nationals, because this is all about ensuring that our societies and our citizens are safe. Third, we need to build a stronger Europe economically. European companies should have the best opportunities to succeed in the global markets, to create jobs of the future here in Europe. We must cut red tape and remove burdens, reduce our dependencies, bring Europe forward in a just way for all of our citizens. And while others build tariff walls, we should build new partnerships. Get Mercosur rolling, finalize an agreement with India, not just for the sake of trade, but also for the sake of building strong alliances in a very uncertain world, without ever compromising what makes Europe special. Our social model, our cities where people can live and work, our green leadership. And this is a message for all the commissioners. We need to see the green transition as key to our competitiveness, our independence, especially from Russia, our future. We need to combat climate change and adapt to the dramatic changes that we already see. Floods, storms, but it is not only a matter of fighting climate change. It's not only a matter of creating more and better lives in our cities, not only a matter of strengthening our society. It's all at once and with no time to lose. That is why it is key that we need to set a long-term EU climate target for 2040. It is hard to believe, but Russia remains the second largest exporter of gas to the European Union. Every cent we send to Russia is a support for Russia's war machine. We cannot continue paying them, killing Europeans. We need to work hard to end all import of Russian gas. At the same time, we must bring down our energy costs and roll out clean energy and infrastructure at a level we have never seen before, for ourselves, but also for our children and grandchildren. Ladies and gentlemen, I have trust in Europe, a Europe that will no longer seek shelter behind others, a Europe that is ready to stand up for ourselves, defend ourselves, a Europe standing proud. Let's go to work. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Madam Prime Minister, for those inspiring words. And now it's my pleasure to invite the President of the European Council to deliver his remarks. Please welcome Mr. Antonio Costa to the stage.
Your Majesties, dear Meta, dear Volodymyr, dear Ursula, of course, dear Mayor of Eros, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the start of a new rotating presidency is a moment of renewed energy. Rotating presidencies play an essential role in ensuring national ownership of the European Union. They serve an excellent reminder that our Union is composed of 27 distinct national sensitivities, cultures and interests. The motto of the Danish presidency is a strong Europe in a changing world. Under your leadership, dear Meta, I am confident that we will continue to make Europe more secure, more competitive, the two main priorities of the Danish presidency. Let me begin with security, because without it, all other ambitions falter. A secure Europe is not a slogan, it is a duty to protect our citizens, uphold our values and defend our future. NATO is indispensable. At the same time, the European Union is assuming greater responsibility in building a common European defence system that deters aggressions. That is why we are working hard to achieve defence readiness by 2030, boosting our capabilities, investing better collectively, more rationally and efficiently, combining different financial tools. Denmark is a leader of European security, and it is setting an example in its steadfast support to Ukraine, militarily and financially, on reconstruction and boosting the Ukrainian defence industry with direct procurement under the so-called, but very purpose-called, Danish model. Together, we will continue to stand firmly by Ukraine with long-term support and a clear path to the European Union membership. Because enlargement is not a bureaucratic process. It is a strategic investment in peace, stability, and our shared European future. In fact, it is the European Union's best geopolitical investment. And I know we can count on the Danish presidency to push forward the negotiations with Ukraine and also Moldova and the 6 Western Balkans countries. The second pillar of your presidency is economic competitiveness. Both pillars reinforce each other. A more competitive Europe is a safer Europe, and a Europe with a more robust defence industry will be a more autonomous, innovative and technological Europe. Indeed, we need an European Union that leads in innovation, delivers prosperity and good quality jobs, and attracts talent. Trade is a fundamental component of this effort. That is why the European Union needs to continue its ambitious fair trade agenda with partners all over the world. The core of our economic strength, the European Union's economic superpower, is the single market. But it must be modernized and deepened. We need to simplify the rules that govern our businesses and cut red tape. We are doing that already, and we need to redouble our efforts. Competitiveness and green transition, as you said, are two sides of the same coin. Actually, the green transition is Europe's chance to lead, to create clean jobs, attract investments, and reinforce our energy security and our economic resilience. Denmark has a very strong record in these fields, and we count on the Danish presidency to take this work forward in preparation of the successful COP30 in Brazil in November. In a nutshell, we need to invest in defence to ensure peace. We need a more competitive Europe to ensure prosperity for our citizens, leaving no one behind. And we need to fight climate change to preserve our existential security. All three of these priorities are interconnected. To deliver on all of them, we must prepare a long-term budget that matches our ambitions. A budget that equips us to act decisively, together, as Europe, in the more volatile world. Advancing the budget discussion will be a key task for the Danish presidency, ahead of a leaders' discussion in December. These tasks will require skillful and creative negotiations. And who better than Denmark, global leaders in creative design and architecture, to take them forward. Dear friends, excellencies, as the Danish philosopher Søren Kierkegaard once said, life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forwards. Today, as we look ahead, we must also learn from Europe's past, a past that tells us that solidarity and cooperation is our greatest strength, a past that tells us that our common future depends on our determination. And I know, dear Meta, that determination is your middle name. In Euros, where democracy, climate leadership, and openness interest, it is fitting to reaffirm our shared commitment to a European Union that protects, to an European Union that prospers, to an European Union that leads. Together with you, Mette, with you, dear Ursula, I'm sure we will be a Team Europe that delivers for our citizens. Thank you and best wishes for a successful Danish presidency. Thank you.
Thank you so much for those words, Mr. President. And now it's my honor to invite the President of the European Commission to share her reflections with us. Please give a warm welcome to Ursula von der Leyen.
Your Majesties, Prime Minister dear Mette, President Zelensky, dear Volodymyr, my dear friend Antonio, Mr. Mayor, esteemed hosts, ladies and gentlemen. Indeed, there is no more fitting setting to mark the start of Denmark's presidency than this remarkable building, designed by one of your great 20th century's visionaries, Arne Jacobsen. This building is not only a work of art, but also a triumph of function. It captures what makes Denmark so special: the ability to blend style and practicability, to unite tradition with modernity, to stand strong and independent. Aarhus embodies those same values. Gothic spires rise beside biotech labs. Green innovation flourishes next to cobbled streets. It is a city rooted in history, yet fully focused on the future. I cannot think of a better place to discuss the way forward for our union. Prime Minister dear Mette, I remember the speech you gave at the closing of the Danish Parliament last May. You said something powerful, yet simple. You said, Europe is here. And that is so true. And today we deliver on the promise of this Danish presidency to build a strong Europe in a changing world. One that can stand on its own and deliver for the people of Europe. And that starts with Ukraine. Dear President, my friend Volodymyr, Europe continues to stand by your side. We maintain our financial support across all fronts, militarily, economically, and politically. We continue to put pressure on Russia and will soon deliver the 18th round of sanctions. And we will continue to move forward with your accession process, because Ukraine's future is at the heart of the European Union. Ladies and gentlemen, we know that a strong Europe relies on a strong economy, on leading in technologies of tomorrow and creating new jobs and opportunities. Here in Denmark and Aarhus, you are showing the way. From offshore wind to green hydrogen, from design to pharma, from artificial intelligence to aerospace, Danish companies are not just thriving, you are showing how we can lead in the sustainable economy of tomorrow. And crucially, you are building on the foundation of your social market economy, one that combines competitiveness with protection, that shows how governments, business and citizens can work together for the common good. And this is the essence of the European way. A society that protects its people, but also enables them to take risks, to adapt and to succeed. This is the model we must strengthen, so that Europe does not only respond to change, but shapes it. Ladies and gentlemen, to build a stronger Europe, we need courage and we need optimism. And nowhere is that optimism more alive than here in Aarhus. The Smiletsby, the city of smiles indeed. A city where over half the population is under 30. A city where heritage meets a high-tech future. So let us begin this presidency with the energy of Aarhus, with the clarity of Arne Jacobsen, and with the courage of the Danes that our times demand. I look forward to working very closely with you in the months ahead, my dear Mette. Thank you very much to all Danes, and long live Europe.
Thank you so much for those words, Madam President. And now, dear guests, it's my great honor to welcome to the stage His Excellency, Mr. Volodymyr Zelensky, the President of Ukraine.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Your Majesties, thanks so much. And dear Mette, my friend, thank you so much for the invitation. Such a beautiful city, such a strong people. Thank you for your support. Thanks. And of course, dear Ursula, dear Antonio, all of our friends, colleagues. Once again, congratulations to Denmark, our close friend, personally met, along with your team, as Denmark begins its presidency of the EU Council. We can be confident this will be a time of strong and principled decisions, and that means a time of predictability. Predictability has become a rare thing these days. But Denmark is a country that leaves no room for doubt. It's a country and a people we can rely on. Denmark brings a sense of predictability, and you keep your promises, and together we achieve meaningful results. Thank you for that. And I also want to thank our friends leading the EU institutions, Antonio and Ursula. Even on such symbolic days like the start of the presidency, we don't stop at symbolism. We make real decisions. it's important. We talked about how important it's to close the gaps in defense funding. We are working to get real results from our joint defense programs, and we are getting things ready so that EU can keep its promises. Ukraine is ready to open the accession clusters, ready to move forward with the negotiations, and ready for decisions that benefit both sides. Thank you for your support. Ladies and gentlemen, we in Ukraine created a special national award for children. I told this story today to Metro, and it's for boys and girls who have shown bravery during Russian attacks or helped in other dangerous situations, volunteered or shown civic leadership. The award is called The Future of Ukraine, and truly our future depends on whether we can raise children who care, who are not indifferent to others, who are willing to help. As this visit began, I had an honor of presenting this award to a boy who lives here in Denmark, and he's a Danish citizen. His name is Jens, and he's just 11 years old, like my son. But his kindness, he's 11, but his kindness and care have already made a difference and inspired many adults. Jens made Easter crafts in blue and yellow, Ukraine's national colors, sold them and bought backpacks to send that to Ukrainian children who really need help. And it was deeply moving. But if you think about it, this was also deeply political. Wanting to help, to support others, to not stay on the sidelines in a time of war. That's a powerful message in itself. And this is exactly the kind of message that lies at the heart of the European Union, at the heart of our unity. We are united and we work together, and our Europe needs the EU for mutual support, for shared protection, and for the very values shown by Jens, by you and by millions of Europeans every day. Compassion, sincerity, and the will to help someone in need, even if that person is far from your home. And we must not forget this. All our European institutions, all our agreements, all our cooperation and joint work for security is all built around this idea that Europeans care for one another and act like human beings in this fullest sense of the word. This is why we need the European Union. And this is why we must defend Europe, not only from outside enemies, but also from those inside who try to replace solidarity with division, and compassion with a cold disregard for anyone but themselves. Dear friends, the next 6 months of Denmark's EU presidency will go by fast. Time always flies. The most important thing is that we achieve what we all truly want. First, we need to protect the EU from those who are trying to break it apart, often for personal and corrupt reasons. The EU must stay strong because it gives strength to every European nation in global competition. And the EU must keep its promises, especially when it comes to enlargement. And I hope that during Denmark's presidency, the EU accession negotiations with Ukraine will move forward and the clusters will finally be open. Second, we all understand that Russia is not just some dangerous neighbor. That much is obvious. It's something more deliberate, an anti-European project. Everyone in Europe can clearly see this. Russia invests in everything that goes against our European way of life. That's why we must not let them win, not in this war, and not in any part of our future. We need biting sanctions against Russia. We need steady defense support for Ukraine. We need to build up Europe's own defense industry so that Russia cannot outmatch us in any area. All of this is vital for keeping Europe safe. And we have to keep putting pressure on Russia to make them stop the war, respect their neighbors, and choose peace. As long as Russia gets a high price for its oil, it keeps fighting. And that's why we need a strict price cap. As long as Russia finds ways to buy parts and equipment for weapons, it keeps killing. That's why we need a full stop to all supplies to Russia of anything that is or could be used for making weapons. It's high time we established an efficient international platform to control dual-use exports, and it could be one of the achievements of the Danish presidency. We can work on it together, and we need to cut off Putin and his buddies from money. As long as Russian banks can still operate in Europe and other key parts of the world, Russia keeps ignoring diplomacy. We must push it back toward diplomacy. Third, even if it's not easy, we must do everything we can to keep cooperation between Europe and the United States strong. Yes, Europe should rely more on itself, especially when it comes to defense and protecting our people. But it's always better to be in an alliance than in disagreement. So the next 6 months should bring real progress to protect our partnerships and make our cooperation stronger. No matter what anyone says, Europe is and will stay one of the world's strongest players and a leader in human rights. Europe must also become a global leader in technology, especially in defense technologies. That's a key goal. And most importantly, Europe must be a continent of peace. Let's use the next 6 months to make the right decisions, especially for that. Thank you. Slava Ukraini.
Thank you so much.
You know, he graduated from this university. Yeah. From exactly this. Coming home. Coming home. Yeah. It makes sense. I would get home.